Jesus Christ.
Man.
All right, new season.
No, I'm just saying, I can sell salt to a slug.
That is a f***ed up thing to say. Do you love me enough to blank?
International underwear model. Yeah, that's a perk too.
You know what? It's happening. We're watching trash TV together. This is happening. We're here. It's done now. 90 Day Fiancé. This is what we're gonna do. So for multiple seasons now, my partner's had me watching this show and I thought, gee whiz, I've got to make some use of this. I've got to make some use of my time. All right, new season. Oh, I'm excited. So I thought I'd come on here and chat to you about it. We can all have a chat about it because I actually think there's some really interesting lessons that we can take away from these couples. What is healthy? Let's look at the compatibility. Let's look at some of the relationship skills. Let's have some fun making predictions, have a laugh. Plus, I wanted to do something different on the channel. You know, we're 600 videos in now. I write every single one of these scripts myself, never hired a script writer. Well, I did once and I didn't like it. Other than that, never hired a script writer. So I wanted to do something different. And I thought, you know, a lot of you watch this show. If you don't, I'm gonna give you some background. Let's actually look and let's learn something from the 2 hours each week that we spend watching this show. Okay, I'm not gonna say anything bad about it because here we are talking about it and it is kind of fun. So this show, why am I doing this? First of all, I just thought it'd be fun. I just thought it'd be fun to talk about this. And I wanted to have some fun on the channel and I thought that'd be great. But number two, I thought it'd be really interesting to go through the stuff that I talk to clients about, which is chemistry, compatibility, and relationship skills. And instead of Jamia and I having to act all this out and describe it, we can look at demos. We can look at the couples online, on the show, rather. And number three, point out for you some interesting scenes. What's healthy, what's not. We don't have to act it out now. I got these couples doing it for me. So awesome, that's great. The way this is gonna work, I'm gonna go through each couple and give you a little bit of background, highlight some important scenes, and then make my predictions based on chemistry, compatibility, and relationship skills. And you can do the same in the comments. Give me your thoughts as well. Very quickly, before we start this, I did want to shout out to my friend Kirk, Mr. 𝐸𝐞𝐫 Psychology in Seattle. He does a similar sort of thing, very in-depth on attachment. So if you want to really watch an in-depth version, you can check that out as well. But we're gonna have some fun here. So let's have a look at our couples. We've got 4 couples on the first episode. 4 of them, and it starts with Bilal, a gentleman named Bilal.
My name is Bilal. I'm 42 years old and I live in Kansas City, Missouri.
And it is Bilal and Shaeeda is the lady that he has met.
She's 37 years old. She's a yoga instructor.
I'm sitting here enjoying this beautiful weather.
And she's from Trinidad and Tobago.
Love you.
They only met for 7 days and he proposed.
We've only spent 7 days together and we're gonna get married.
He is a real estate investor, agent, person. He describes himself as coming from the hood, but very bougie.
Bougie is high maintenance, kind of going just a little bit beyond the norm.
He is super OCD. This is gonna be interesting, right? He has not shown her any of his wealth. So he's quite a well-off dude and he plays a prank on her, which I'm gonna talk about in a second, but he has not shown any of her wealth. He talks to her on a white screen. She doesn't know anything about that. And his logic is he doesn't want her to love him for that. We're gonna talk about that in a second.
Does she really love you for you and not your money because you think you know somebody, but you really don't?
Before we do that, one of the healthiest relationships on this show that I wanna point out, and you'll probably know what I'm about to say if you watch the show, his ex-wife. Check out this clip.
Today's client is actually my ex-wife.
Bilal's my ex-husband and my real estate agent. I really only trust him. We're still maintaining a great relationship and we're still friends.
He has what I think is a really healthy relationship with his ex-wife. Now I know it's hard to tell, they don't give you a lot of footage, but it really seems like they have the things, the 2 things, both of them, that make ex-relationship work. Number 1, they're both grateful for each other, and for the previous relationship, they got kids together, so they're both grateful for each other. And number 2, they both believe deep in their bones that they are not supposed to be together as a couple. They really, truly both believe that. I get the sense from them. He's real estate agenting for her, so she obviously trusts him. She seems like a really good advisor. She seems like, in fact, I want her to be my friend. She seems like a really cool chick. So I suspect his ex-wife couldn't deal with his shit anymore, his OCD-ness, and that's eventually what broke them up. So anyway, that leads me to the current relationship. Now, I did want to point out a comment that he made about Shaeeda, that's the new woman he's met, being a mum to his kids.
And also, obviously, a huge adjustment for yourself. You're stepping into, a mother role immediately.
I'll just tell you one thing.
What's that?
A little scared when it comes to that, to be quite honest.
Not good. At the most, she's a cool aunt. But that is, you don't want to be saying stuff like that, bro. Just, that's not good. That's not good. FYI, she is 37, he's 42. She has no kids. He has 2 sort of early teenage kids. Now, let's talk about this prank. So he plays a prank on her. Check this out.
I'm going to bring her to my childhood home, the home that I actually grew up in.
So you're gonna actually get through the whole night first?
Yeah, so he takes her to an old, decrepit house as their first meeting. His logic is, well, I know that she will want to work with me and love me for me if I show her this. No. I mean, I get it. Don't get me wrong, I get it, and I get the idea. I am guilty of underplaying myself. You ask my partner, she's like, I'm guilty of this. But to this extent, and on a first meeting, like first time coming to visit, what he's trying to do, he's trying to figure out if he can trust her. And it's really his old wounds showing from feeling like he can't trust women. He's obviously felt used in the past in some regards. It's been 7 years since his last major relationship. This is just not the way to go about it. Trusting others is really about trusting yourself. And it's about trusting yourself to make good reads, to follow your intuition, to spot the red flags, to notice them. Figuring out if you can trust someone. I don't really believe this is a prank for fun. I think underlying it's because he feels he can't trust her. So it's just not the first impression that I think is gonna bode well. I think she's gonna be mega pissed, and I think she has a right to be. She's essentially being lied to about what his house is. So I don't think that's gonna go well. I don't think it's going to foster trust, which is ultimately what he wants. Now, this is the other thing, their compatibility, okay? They are super compatible in one way.
Hey there, how are you?
Doing good. Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum salam.
What's up? What are you up to?
I'm just busy packing some stuff.
It looks like they're both Muslim. Big compatibility. Good thing for these two. A lot of times you see opposite religions trying to force it. There'll be another couple on this show that do that. It's good to see. But look what they are avoiding.
I just hope your children look forward to being like brother and sister to younger ones. When that time comes, I hope your children will be able to adjust.
I just think that, it's a bigger conversation definitely for us to have,
It is a topic you keep avoiding.
All right, this is a great lesson about compatibility. Big compatibility wedge here. This and this alone, hugely problematic. Learn from this, guys. You can have difficult conversations or difficult relationships. They're avoiding the difficult conversation, so they're going to have a very difficult relationship. Don't avoid the difficult conversations. So that's Bilal and Shaeeda. Chemistry, I give them a 4 out of 5. I think they're pretty strong on the chemistry, but they're also super new. Compatibility, 1. I'm giving them a 1 out of 5. I think they're completely ignoring the compatibility wedge about children. They're also from different countries. Yeah, their religion is the same, but I think he's going to be a pain in the ass to live with as well, if I'm being honest. So I'm scoring that pretty low, and that actually flows into relationship skills. So I'm going to give Bilal and Shaeeda. Obviously, it's hard to say. They haven't spent any time together. I don't know. I think he's super OCD. They're not having the important conversations, at least not many of them. I'm going to give them a 2 out of 5 for relationship skills so far. Now, of course, these skills can change throughout the season, and I'm very aware that they only show us some of the most dramatic bits, so we gotta go on what we gotta go on, right? In terms of percentages, I think they have a 60% chance to get married on the show and a 20% chance that they'll be together in 5 years' time. Just saying, she wants kids, he doesn't. That brings us to couple number 2. Couple number 2 is Cara and Guillermo. Now, I actually think these two are super cute. First of all, they're beautiful together. They're like a good-looking couple. Now, a bit of background, if you haven't watched the show, she met him when he was living in the Dominican Republic for 5 years.
I was literally just sitting at a table working on my computer with my colleague, and this waiter strolled up to our table and said, "Ladies, tequila time." And I was like, Damn, he's cute.
He's actually from Venezuela and he escaped when the whole economy was going to shit, got himself to the Dominican Republic to support his family. The biggest probably compatibility wedge they have is they met, he's 21, she was 27, so they're now 23 and 29. They spent a year apart during COVID.
And then COVID happened, and so what should have been a month has become a year. It sucks.
So I can relate to that. I spent a year apart from my partner during COVID. They both speak Spanish, they both speak English.
Hola, mi amor.
¿Cómo estás?
Bien, you look so cute.
Here's one of the key things. They lived together in the Dominican Republic for 8 months. So they have something that all the other couples, the other 3 couples don't have. They have a history. They know each other, they've been under stress, they've worked together, they've solved problems together. Honestly, I think these two are a really good couple. The biggest thing that I notice, which could happen, and I don't think they're doing this yet, but this is something to watch for, and I think it's highlighted by the age difference, is I think this couple is at risk of her over-functioning.
If I didn't push Guillermo, I don't think things would get done. I mean, I had to do all of his K1 paperwork, and because he's so young, I think that Guillermo may not be taking this seriously enough.
Her over-functioning a little, him under-functioning, and what I mean by that is she could become a mum and take more and more responsibility, and I could see him leaning back and taking less and less. That would be the little risk. I don't think they're doing it yet, but I think it's a possibility of how I've seen them interact. The good news is I do think he's mature beyond his years. Yes, he's only 23, but he had to get out of Venezuela. He's had to support himself for 5 years. He's used to living in a foreign country. He's coming to see her. I think these two are a really good couple. I'm really vouching for them. I do think they're gonna have a little, I mean, he's leaving his friends. Anyone moving countries, I can attest to this, it sucks. Even if you move into a great country. So they are gonna have their stressors, but I like them. And I'm giving them good scores. Chemistry, 4.5 out of 5. They seem solid. Compatibility, I'm giving them a 3.5 out of 5, just because they got the move, and I just want to make sure that they're not doing the age gap thing with her over-functioning a bit. And I'm gonna give them a conservative 3.5 out of 5 for relationship skills. Haven't seen them interact a lot yet. I honestly think that score's gonna go up, and they're probably gonna be higher than that because they've spent 8 months together, but they are gonna have shit to work through. So starting conservative, I think there's an 85% chance they get married on the show, and a 65% chance they are still together in 5 years time. So that's pretty good. Third couple is going to be a shit show. All right, this is Jibri and Miona. Jibri and Miona. So he's 28. He's a real out there, colorful guy. He's got a lot of personality. She is a 23-year-old makeup artist. So they met and they have only had holidays together. These two are still in the honeymoon phase. They haven't dealt with conflict. They haven't had a chance to get their relationship skills scores up yet because they've only had the good times, right? The connection, the work, that's built when things don't feel so good between a couple. And this couple has only really experienced the good times. So they are going to be in for a shit show of a test. He's had to move to South Dakota to save money. She's very much influencer, LA lifestyle. She loves the glitz, loves the glamour, loves the spending. There's actually a great scene where his mum and his dad, I love his mum by the way, his mum and his dad call him out. Check this out.
What if you can't? What if you're here for longer than how much money do you have saved?
I'm a hustler.
Is she a hustler?
Not like me. I can sell anything.
So you're like avoiding the subject.
Freaking hilarious. And there was one thing he said that I really wanted to point out, because this is, you gotta naff this shit. If you're saying stuff like this, not good. Check it out.
I want to live there, Jibri.
I know you don't want to be here, but do you love me enough to stay in South Dakota for 12 months?
That is a up thing to say. If you love me, you will blank. Okay, I don't think he meant it that way, but it's really manipulative. And what you're essentially saying is, if you get smaller, if you reduce who you are in some way to comply with what I want you to be, I will love you more. That is a terrible thing to be communicating, okay? As I say, I don't think he meant it that way, but it sounded really, really bad. I don't know about these two. I think the chemistry is really good. I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. Compatibility. On the one hand, I think they look cute together. They have bubbly personalities. On the other hand, she doesn't want to be in South Dakota. She doesn't want to get married on a farm. I'm gonna give them a 2.5 out of 5 because on the one hand, their personalities seem like they could be a mesh. On the other hand, they've got some different values. They're gonna have a lot of shit to work through. Relationship skills, I'm giving them a 2 out of 5, but honestly, that's generous. It really should be a question mark. We don't know yet. All I know is she's gonna come and there's gonna be a goddamn explosion of conflict and confrontation, and how they work through that is ultimately what's gonna determine how they do. I give them a 50% chance of getting married on the show, but if they manage that, I give them a 65% chance of being together in 5 years, because I think if they can get through that first year, they'll be fine. And lastly, we have a couple, Emily and 𝐸𝐵e. So these guys are, oh, this is interesting. Emily and 𝐸𝐵e. Emily's 29, 𝐸𝐵e's 34. He's from Cameroon, she's from mid-US somewhere. They met in China, or he was an underwear model.
But he's also an international underwear model. Yeah, obviously that's a perk too.
He's like the only black guy in Shanghai or wherever he was. So underwear model, really out there dude. She got pregnant to him within the 4 weeks that they dated.
I got a pregnancy test and I took it about 4 o'clock in the morning while 𝐸𝐵e was asleep, and it showed up very positive.
She went back to America, and how's this? 2 years they've been apart through COVID.
So it's been 2 years since I've seen 𝐸𝐵e.
So he's got a kid that he's never seen. The kid's now 17 months old. She's living with her family. There is so many unknowns for these two, and I think it's gonna be really interesting to see how it develops. On the one hand, I think they've done amazing to stay in contact. Obviously, he's like a caring dad. He wants to see his kid. You can see the passion in his eyes.
You go do your thing, okay? You take care of him so much. I love you, babe, and I can't wait to see you guys.
It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
He wants to meet his kid, he wants to be with his kid, I think he wants to be with her as well. And they've continued video chatting for 2 years, and that alone is no small feat. So they've done the work. On the other hand, not to stereotype, but he's an underwear model. I've been a stripper for many years, I have been, and the majority of that industry can have some loyalty issues. Not everyone, but a lot of them. Temptation brings out the character, shall we say. The parents are pretty suspect on them. Check this out.
You feel comfortable that this is the right guy?
Well, yeah, I mean, we have a kid together.
Oh, just because you have COVID together doesn't mean you have to get married.
I'm supporting everybody for 6 months, right?
Yep.
He invested money in a cafe, knowing that he was going to come to the United States. We don't know 𝐸𝐵e at all. So the judgment's still out there as to whether he's a good guy or not.
And I think this brings up a really good question. Would they still be talking if not for the kid? I don't think they would. I'm just being honest. But the kid might keep them together. I don't know. Chemistry, I find these two really hard to predict. On the one hand, I want to be generous with them. On the other hand, 2 years apart, they're living different lives, different countries. I think be generous, give them a 2.5 out of 5 on the chemistry, but they've got to see what it's like when they land. Compatibility, I don't think they have much compatibility other than having a kid together. They're different cultures, different backgrounds. He's gonna be living there in a 5-person house with her parents with 1 bathroom.
You know, we're all sharing 1 bathroom, 5 adults and a toddler.
Oh man, I don't know. That's gonna be lots of stuff for them to work through. I'm gonna be generous, give them a 3 out of 5 for relationship skills. Obviously they worked through 2 years and I know how hard that can be. It's gonna be different when they get together in person, but give them credit for what they've done so far. I find this couple really hard to predict. How much of them staying together is just the kid? I don't know, it's hard to know. I give them a 50% chance of being married on the show, and if they get married, a 50% chance of being together in 5 years. Is that indecisive of me? I don't know. That's the one I found hardest to predict. But those are the 4 couples. Those are the 4 couples. So I'd love to hear your prediction in the comments. Who do you think will stay together? Who do you think will fall apart? Are you just judging me for watching 90 Day Fiancé? Get in on it. You know you want to. We can definitely learn some good stuff from it. So I think I'm gonna do these each week if you are enjoying them. So please let me know in the comments if you are. I had fun filming this. I hope you had fun watching it. Hit the subscribe button with the little bell, and I'll see you in the next vid.